again, everyone, and welcome to our Maniac podcast, Unscripted, episode
3.
It's me, your notorious bad boy from Pasig City, JCT.
And I'm FSP Works. As usual, you can always call me Fred.
And today we're going to be talking about our latest episode with
Ref Bangsil, or
yes,
Rafaelio Bangsil.
and his classic 68 Mustang.
Actually, it's, I think, 1969. Am I right?
Oh, so they may be skipping for one
Yeah.
year.
Mhm.
But,
But
yeah.
yeah, regardless, it's still a 1960s era Ford Mustang, right? The
Mhm.
first generation coupe.
Yeah, the first generation coupe, and I think it's perhaps the widest Mustang I've ever seen in person.
Well, not really, but yeah. It's wide enough, but it's also sleek. At the same time, it's
Mhm.
muscular, as expected from most American muscle cars.
Exactly, and I think it's one of the true definitions of what a pony car should be.
Yes,
Honestly.
and yeah, not to mention, I also love the color of his Ford Mustang.
Same.
I really love the shade of green, the shade of metallic sort of green,
Mm-mm.
and the wheels. Like it's probably my first time, not really, or probably not really my first time, but it's rare to see an American muscle car with Japanese looking banana wheels, or I think those are a set of RS Watanabes, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
think so, yes.
Hmm.
Because looking at those wheels, mentioning the car that I actually own, the Mirage. I always wondered how they would look like in a muscle car.
Yes, it
So
surprisingly fits well.
quite separates the norm of just seeing those star-shaped
Mm-mm.
bulky wheels on muscle cars. Right now it's like
Tama.
putting in a new trend of also admiring how Japanese classic wheels can actually fit into American muscle.
And it kind of reminds you of the Hakusuka Nissan Skyline.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of
Mm-mm.
when seeing them, because they look period correct actually,
Mm-mm.
despite being Japanese.
Actually, yes.
Mm-mm. Not to mention, if you notice as well the tires, right? You can see the
Beefy.
fresh,
Mm-mm.
like even the wording, the font of the
Yeah.
brands at it's protected.
Yeah, I've
fluid.
always wondered what it was, to be honest. Those blue things on the, um, letterings on the tires.
Yeah, I've always wondered, but up until Ref explained it to me that they're actually there to protect it from fading,
Mm-mm.
I now understand the responsibility from there.
Mm-mm.
That it's really huge with classic muscle cars.
Mm-mm. And yeah, I just love it. The way it looks, and despite of it not really being a V8, it had an inline six. I'm just not sure about the displacement of the engine, but I think it's just enough for the car.
Yeah, I mean it's not bad on horsepower. It's got about 130 from what he mentioned, but
Mm-hmm.
apart
Not
from
bad.
that, it still sounds really close to a V8, especially when he floored it. Really
Well,
close.
yeah. I mean, not really close to V8, but more of like that's the normal, not really normal, but like distinctive classic car sound.
Yes. Kumbaga, it's still exemplifies how a Mustang should sound.
Mm-mm.
Yun. So that's why I still loved and really fell in love with the car itself, even if it was getting floored during our rolling shots.
Yes. Like, how was it? Like, you're actually the only person that got into the Ford Mustang.
Yeah, I mean, we got into long talks and it got to me, becoming the passenger itself of that Mustang. And being a Mustang enthusiast myself, I gotta say, it was really a dream come true nonetheless, even if had it inline six, because it felt like what I imagined it to be, wherein it was all bulk. It really exemplified what muscle cars meant during the era, wherein they're really meant to be, heavy, roaring with, long and just short gears. Not to mention it's a 3-speed.
Yes, I just noticed it only had 3 gears.
Yeah, 3 gears. And what I noticed when he was driving it was they have really long intervals than what we're accustomed to in 5-speed.
Yes.
With 5-speed, you have to automatically go to second and third. No, with that one, you can wait. You can wait up until you go 40.
Dang.
That's why I was really shocked when he taught me how to actually, shift the car.
Wow.
And
Like, did he really teach you how to shift gears? Like, did he like
on the spot.
instructing? Nice.
Yes. But I have yet to actually try to drive a Mustang, which is one of my number one dreams in life. It's in my bucket list.
Yeah, same. Like to be honest, like I was growing up, I was accustomed to American muscle cars having V8s,
Mm.
purely, but it's refreshing to like hear a classic Ford Mustang with an inline six.
Yes, it actually drove me nervous at first because I was hoping that it wouldn't sound like a tuner car necessarily. But when I heard it, I was like,
Mm,
hey, this is not way too far off. It's not bad. It
mm,
actually sounds great
right.
and fitting.
And
Yeah.
yeah, everything seems just the way it is. It's period correct. Like I've seen the interior.
Mm.
It's pretty neat to be honest.
I mean, even if he did mention that the seats can only go up to a certain limit, I actually
Mm-hmm.
fell in love with it and I actually find it as the perfect muscle car interior that I've ever seen
Yes.
so far. Like my favorite. Even
Mm-mm.
more, I mean, no offense to the modern muscle cars, but I love it. It really has a homey feel for me.
Yes, and when I got inside the car, like the way it smells, it's the classic car
Oh,
smell,
God, yeah.
heavenly.
It smelled like I was back in the 60s, to be
Mm-mm.
honest.
Like it's like a time travel. Like we obviously never grew up in the 1960s, but the smell of it, the musk and all, it's just nostalgic.
Yeah, I felt like I was back in the 60s. Plus, you really feel like you're in a time machine once you're seated inside. It
Mm-mm.
feels like, gosh, this is what they felt like back in the day. Because of the solid interior. Like compared to modern cars where it's all about comfort, if you notice, it's all about in that car, it's all about staying alert, it's all about being practical,
Mm-mm.
and they focused more on enjoying the drive rather than being comfortable in the
Tama.
drive. Like, to quote what Ref told me, it's not meant to be slept on. You're really meant to drive it
It's meant to be driven.
always and on alert.
And if you notice, right, like it had some issues with the alternator.
Yes, which really drove me worried at first. I mean, he did talk a big deal about how, you know, project cars themselves in general are really, really hard to maintain. It's all about patience. It has
Mm-mm.
many cons. We can say that
Yes.
it many people say that the cons outweigh the pros, but to him, uniquely, he mentioned that the pros actually pay off the
Mm-mm.
cons.
Exactly. Like owning a project car, it does bring a lot of, as he said, it brings a lot of cons,
Mm-mm.
but that's where the pros come in, like the enjoyment, the experience. It's basically like
Yes.
I don't want to talk about relationship as in the romantic kind of
Oh.
relationship, but like sabihin na nating nagkaanak ka, ganun. Something like that. Or you
Oh.
adopted a child or a pet. Parang ganun yung feeling of, owning a classic car, a classic American muscle car, or any
Mm.
classic car in general.
It's like you have a huge responsibility in your hands because once you
Mm-mm.
mess up or once you make a mistake with it at some point, just like the car itself,
Mm-mm.
just gonna break down on you.
Exactly. And it almost never made it to the, recent event, right? A car
Yes.
meet somewhere in BGC, and we even got to meet him after our shoot.
I remember, I'll never forget. It was like 12:41 at night and he was really worried because all of a sudden the car stopped working on him and he
Yes.
said that he suspected that it might have been the timing belt or one
Mm-mm.
of the belts there. And true enough, when he had it checked finally after our shoot earlier, he told us that it was really the loose belt.
Mm-mm.
But despite that, concern, imagine he still drove it all the way
Oh,
here. The heart and
grabe.
the guts in that guy.
He's a legend. I mean, not only the car in itself is a legend, but
The
he
person.
himself. Mm-mm.
I have to agree because he actually, I think the car really exemplifies as well and connects to who he is as a person because he's all about the thrill. He's all about, despite the risks, he's willing to risk it all just to
Mm-mm.
follow his passion. And just like he said, he's all about, having fun with the car is what he tried to tell us.
Mm-mm.
It's not about bragging again about, you
Tama.
know, how good your car is. No, it's all about how much you enjoy it naman
Mm.
is his lesson.
Yes, that's the point. That's the essence and the point of owning a classic car, a project car.
I have to agree. And I think that's why they're called American muscle cars because they're not meant to be displayed at all. They're meant to be driven
Mm-mm.
hardcore, to really have fun with them.
Tama.
That's why if you watch, movies like Gun in 60 Seconds or
Mm-mm.
Dukes of Hazzard, those cars are really always jumping, always
Mm-mm.
drifting. Makes you wonder, aren't these cars indestructible in a way? with how tough they are.
I know,
And yes,
right?
I mean, like he said, it's mostly a Sunday car, but he loves making it as much as possible as he can a daily
Mm-mm.
drive in a way because he really wants to enjoy the car to its fullest. Like he also believes, just as we do,
Mm-mm.
as we both do, that cars are really meant to be, driven and not just for display.
Exactly. And it's that's not the only project car that Rep had, previously.
Yes.
Like he had a Ford Maverick and then I think the Mercedes-Benz 190 W201.
And those are two cars that I really want to have so
And
bad.
another one is, a Honda Accord. It's a station
Yeah,
wagon,
the
right?
station wagon.
Yes. And something that I've never seen is the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 7.
Mm-mm. Which, as a Lancer owner myself, I really hope I could see
Hmm.
it in person or one in person because I've never seen an Evo 7 in person.
So yeah.
So definitely, I mean, he was also very insightful with, emphasizing that no matter how impossible it could be for car enthusiasts to, get their dream car, he's the guy that proved to us, in the flesh that
Mm,
it could just happen in the blink of an eye. But he did mention that the cost is, you have to
yeah.
grab it once the opportunity is really fresh. Like you really have
Tama.
to grab it once it's the best. Like kumbaga, he doesn't mean to rush, but what he
Mm-mm.
means is you should really grab it at the best time possible.
Tama.
You know.
And yeah, the he had another one actually, the E36, two
Right.
door. I'm not sure what displacement, but yeah, it's another BMW. It's an E36 in which he replaced it with a Lancer Evo.
That's a very unique build, right?
Mm-mm.
Dang. I, I also, from what I recall, he also exemplified that he was the only car enthusiast in the family, right?
Yes. Mm-mm.
And speaking as guys who, if I'm not mistaken, your family is somewhat about cars also.
Not really. Actually, to be honest, I'm probably the only one in the family, as
Oh, so you're late.
in my household.
Oh, okay, okay. So
But
how
yeah.
do you connect somehow with the story of that?
Although I have a few car enthusiast
Mm.
relatives like Kuya Wilson who had a bunch of Honda Civics.
And his EG6,
Yes.
definitely.
And also the Mitsubishi Pajero, the Fieldmaster 2004 model, low mileage.
Yes, that dream SUV. But
Mm-mm.
going back to his Mustang, I think, it really exemplifies how you can actually balance out your responsibilities, or even if it seems so impossible, you can
Mm-mm.
still make it an attainable dream just,
Mm-mm.
by really working hard. And at the same time, he also emphasized experience being a big factor into, getting these cars. Kumbaga, make it your journey
Mm-mm.
was also what he said. Really chase your dreams and not just sit there
Tama.
hoping, and no, you really have to take action into it.
It's also one of the few things that I've learned from Ref. You
Mm-mm.
know, like I'm still young, I'm still fresh out of college, trying to build my dreams, probably get a job. Hopefully, again, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, from my end, I also, well, I have learned as well, similar to him, where in corporate doesn't really seem to be my thing,
Mm-mm.
but I do hope as well that, to really be a great breadwinner for my family, just as, you
Same.
do.
So, what are your attainable dream cars, by the way?
As for me, the top cars on my list would be many as a big car enthusiast. But
Mm-hmm.
if you were to ask me, I'm just looking for a car that mostly checks the following boxes. Like, I want a car that's reliable, fun to drive,
Mm-hmm.
and a car that creates every single memory that you could think of. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, a car that could be fast when you need it to be. That's all that matters to me because at the end of the day, throughout the years of being a car enthusiast, just like Ref was,
Mm-mm.
I think it's really important to find a car that's an all rounder.
Yes. Actually, the same then. Actually, one of my few quote unquote attainable dream cars would be number one. It would be a classic SUV, an old school SUV,
Mm,
an old school Mitsubishi Pajero, just like Kuya Wilson's, and or probably a '90s Nissan Patrol. It had an inline six. It's
yes.
boxy, the Y60 specifically, and of course our favorite Wade Lim.
Wade Lim!
The 80 series Toyota Land Cruiser.
You know, I'm
But yeah.
willing to bet Toyota might actually make Land Cruisers out of the Wade Lim edition.
Yes.
I'm
And yeah,
sorry.
going back to my attainable dream cars, another one would be a station wagon, probably.
Mm-mm.
Yes, something that is
Same.
practical, fun, and underrated. That would be, remember Tom Huang's BMW E34 Touring?
Yes. Not to
Yes.
mention, actually, Ref also mentioned that his Mustang model is quite underrated because people are
Mm.
mostly accustomed to the fastback version of that
And also,
John Wick.
the fact that it had an inline six, not a V8, right?
Yeah, I mean his Mustang is quite rare to me because it's the first time I've ever seen something like that wherein
Hmm.
it's what do you call the top for that car? Hard top or
Coupe.
coupe version of
Hmm.
that Mustang model because I'm accustomed to the Boss Fastback wherein
Mm-mm.
it's got those
Same.
fenders and stuff like that.
Hmm. Well, actually, one of the first Mustangs that I got accustomed to was a coupe, not a fastback. So, baliktad tayo.
Yeah, because me, I first fell in love with Eleanor, just like the story right here that I
Mm,
own. Eleanor was my very first muscle car crush. It
mm,
wasn't the Charger of Dominic Toretto, no. It was Nicolas Cage's, Eleanor GT500 model.
mm-hmm. And not to mention, going back to Sir Tom's E34 touring,
Yes.
I've seen it in the Neo Classic event.
Same, and we also saw the Barrel there as well.
Yes, they are all aligned together. Even the what do you call this? The sushi machine Toyota Sprinter, Levine
Mm.
or Toyota Corolla Levine. The what is it? The E27. Yes.
E27, yeah. Shout out to Sergio Peralta and brother Tom Juan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Sushi Factory. Hello.
Also, not to mention, for Mustangs, remember, we also shot Ira and Bill
Oh
in one of our first
yes.
episodes. Love and Power.
And
You know?
apparently, you know what? We also shot them in February, and today it is February.
Right. So that reminds us, it's actually ironic how, this is February. And,
Mm-mm.
last time we shot the modern Mustang, but now we're shooting another Mustang, which is
Yes,
the classic
the
version.
classic one. So yeah, it's not a contrast, but like a generational thing.
Yeah. And with that, that's a wrap for our, discussion on
Mm-mm.
Sir Ref's Ford Mustang GT episode.
But yeah, thank you very much for listening to our podcast, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.
Rushing through me, down,